Hello, and welcome to the Splain. Dan Rothenberg and Joe Klosik, two guys trying to figure it out. Not the right wing, not the brosphere. Left of center, with humor and empathy.
Welcome to the Splain.
Welcome.
Episode 3. Now, we got a lot to get to here. We're diving in into a lot of topics. First, we need a glitter update.
I like that it has a title. So
from Joe, New Year's Eve night, the glitter fiasco. What's going on?
Quick update, right? Guy in the front row, I throw glitter. Guy in the front row stands up, gives me the double burn. Says, fuck off, that's not funny, and exits. And all this time I've been thinking, oh, that was a Trump supporter. Well, it turns out it was about the glitter. So Brian Copeland, right, who hosted and produced the show, got sent this letter about 2 weeks after the event. Okay, by the way, it's written in spiral bound.
Who wrote that?
This is the guy who was glittered.
The dude that flipped you off.
Yeah, this is the dude who flipped me off.
You're being heckled by snail mail.
I'm being heckled by snail mail at a 5th grade writing level, I would say. And he wrote it. He wrote it almost like a fax. You can see.
Okay,
Brian Copeland.
Comedy
Yeah, Yeah, you know.
Okay, I am intrigued. Okay, lay it on.
I'm just gonna read it to you. I think you're gonna love it.
Only Joe. Only you has this ever happened to, will ever happen to. Go.
I'm framing this, by the way. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Copeland regarding New Year's Eve comedy show at the Castro Valley Arts Center. One of the last comedians was throwing glitter on the people in the front row a couple of seats down from me. Then he moved and threw it on me. I stood up and gave him the finger and yelled, "Fuck you, that is not funny," and I walked out. As I was leaving, he said it would brush out of my hair and made a joke about me. What is not funny is if it had got in my eyes and did damage to my eyes. I would sue the comedian, you, Brian Copeland, and the Castro Valley Arts Foundation for the maximum allowed by law plus punitive damages, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and attorney fees. And then it says, continued.
What is the maximum allowed by law for glittering someone?
You're missing the best part.
Right,
here's the best part, right?
Yeah.
You know who he is and can ask him to stop or be a part of this until someone is hurt. Take the glitter threat seriously. Someone's gonna go blind. Okay,
so if we don't take this seriously, the glitter wins.
The glitter wins. And out of curiosity, all right, I'm like, look, all right, he clearly was triggered by glitter. Something happened as a child, but I Googled, has anyone ever been blinded by glitter?
Yeah.
And there was a case in 2018. A woman opened up a Christmas card and glitter got into one of her eyes, and it did become swollen. She was losing vision. And when they operated, they removed it. And when they put it under a microscope, they found that it was shiny. And they're like, it's glitter. So,
okay. I mean, that being said, anything sprinkly can get in your eye. Right.
I mean, yes, that is correct.
I will say that, you know what? That letter was less ugly than it could have been. I mean, it was I have a little more empathy. It was more of a safety, one of these obsessive safety people. I'm going to sue you. It wasn't sort of nasty.
Listen, you Gallagher wannabe. How dare you threaten the vision of people up front?
Right. Okay. Yeah, glitter can be. I mean, I guess when you don't expect to be glittered.
And then here's how it's taken another turn.
Yeah.
Right? So I put this up, and people were like, okay, yeah, aside from the vision thing. And now people are like, well, Joe, microplastics are a huge threat to the environment. And I'm like, oh my God, why? Why? And I've looked, and you know what? There is eco-friendly plant-based glitter. I don't know
Glitter.
what plant is creating glitter for us, but there are some disco bulbs or something
Mhm.
that they're growing glitter and harvesting them. So I'm like, all right, fine. Look, you guys, I'm gonna get plant-based glitter to
So you're
continue to do
learning.
this bit. I'm
You're going to do
learning.
the right thing. And
I'm
the
gonna do
bit
the right thing.
continues.
It continues.
So that what I love about that, you're going to take that letter on stage, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
So it just continues for you.
Yeah.
It's more. So this, your one person show is going to begin in Modesto.
Glitter.
Yeah.
The saga.
I like it.
And I can only hope that should my end come, the guy shoots me with a bow and arrow one night, and I'm just there with the arrow sticking out of my chest, like I'm dying for the First Amendment, and then I just throw some glitter and that's it.
Better yet,
Oh.
in fact, you get cremated. And there's got to be a way to glitterize your ashes. How awesome would that be? And I'm going to take you to
$1 billion idea, Dan.
Take the urn and
oh,
glitter ashes.
My eye. Even from beyond the grave, he has no regard for my personal safety.
Awesome. That was a worthwhile glitter report. Okay, we're talking about today. First of all, before we get to that, I am a ill-informed consumer. Okay? So I bought an electric car. I've been saving up for it for a long time. I got a Kia Niro.
Okay.
Which I like.
It's named a Niro?
Yes. Huh. I think. Okay. Which leads me to my point. I don't have the energy to research stuff.
Yeah. Why would you? It's just a major purchase.
Well, here's the thing. Everything is such a research project.
Right.
The research makes it not even worth it. So I said to my brother-in-law, "Where did you get your electric car?" He said he got a Nissan Leaf. He liked it. Now he's a research guy. Now he's done all the research for me.
Yeah. But you didn't get a Nissan Leaf.
No.
No. Because
I didn't like the way it looked. I got a Kia because I liked the way it looked. And I sat down and it had a steering wheel warmer.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm buying this car.
That was it.
That was it. I'm buying this car.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I should research it. Okay. So I've heard of Kia.
Yeah. I've heard of it.
I see other people driving around with Kias.
Yeah.
Who am I? What am I better than them? Buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll stand by that.
Is that peer pressure or research?
It's ADHD brain, can't hold in information. Let's just go for it.
So just quick review. Your brother-in-law, who's a researcher, did the research. Bought an electric car.
He bought a Nissan Leaf.
And you're like, no.
Right.
I'm going to get this other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other one had a warmer.
Steering wheel
warms your hands.
Yeah, it warms your hands. Yeah. I mean,
and
why look any farther?
And
I'm still trying to wrap my head. Why would you name it after a Roman emperor that like fucked and plundered?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I don't know, I didn't research. So I just plugged it in to the library parking station. I'm so excited.
This is so liberal. I plugged my car in at the library.
To the library.
It's probably learning.
It's learning as we speak. And
it's paying off other people's overdue book fines.
Absolutely. So I plug it in, and then I notice there's a barcode to pay.
Yeah, you got to pay for it.
Now again, no, I didn't know that. So,
Dan,
I didn't know that.
You didn't know you had to pay for the electricity?
No, I thought it was all free.
No.
So then I said to myself, I thought this was all free, and I Googled it and said, no, it's never free. And then I thought some things you should research.
You should research.
I should have researched that.
Yeah.
So it's a compromise.
Don't you get like a bunch of tax rebates though for buying an electric car?
See, these are the kind of questions
you don't know. Okay.
All right. Yes, I think. I don't know.
But aren't you allowed to run
has
like
questions?
You're allowed to run like stupid. red lights a month because you're better than fossil fuel drivers, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You can flip off people
Yeah.
if
My
they're
point
driving
is
like a diesel.
information.
There's a point.
Information brings anxiety and confusion.
Yeah.
And
This is the beard talking.
I bought an electric car.
Yep. And you
And
just found out you have to
if you
pay for
remember back
electricity.
from our first episode, I also read a book.
That is, you know what? You're right.
Let's
You're
keep
right.
the bar down.
You read a book and you bought an electric car that
Exactly.
you didn't realize you had to pay for electricity.
No, I didn't realize. So that's my point. I'm willing to admit some research is good. All right. So let's check the app right now. How much have I paid since I plugged that in? $1.01.
That's nothing.
That's nothing, man.
That's gonna get you a mile.
Given the fact that I don't do math, it's not going to affect me at all because I don't.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that
so
a deal?
bottom line,
Oh.
don't research things. Don't trouble
research.
yourself. If you see something you like, buy it.
Yeah. So this episode is brought to you by ignorance and consumerism.
All right. Now we're going to take a left turn here, Joe, because we got stuff we got to talk
serious
about.
stuff to talk about.
We got to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Today we're going to talk about therapy services for trans youth.
Okay.
And I'm a therapist. I'm not a specialist, but I am adjacent to it because I work with teenagers and young adults. And by the end of this episode, I want to help parents maybe find a little direction or a little compromise in their thinking on how they might deal with their child.
No, that makes sense. And the right wing is always shouting about, the parents' rights and the parents don't want this. And so it's an interesting way to okay, well, what are the parents' responsibilities? What are their parents' take on this? So you know much more about this topic. I'm just going to probably jump in and make a snarky comment here and there.
Do it.
And I
Okay.
apologize in advance for my
Snark away, Splain away. But we want, especially I want dads.
Please. Yeah. Okay.
We need information to dads who have the room to make mistakes and say the wrong thing. And again,
so let's say I'm a dad.
Yeah.
Let's say my 10-year-old son comes to me and says, Dad, I don't think of myself as a boy. Or how do those let me ask you, how do those conversations usually start? By the time a father or a kid shows up for therapy, what are the conversations that have happened?
That's a really good question, because when it comes to LGBTQ youth, it's kind of like first impressions are good. When your kid comes out to you, you never get that back. And the tough thing is, when our kids come out to us, usually anxiety is really high. And when we're scared for a variety of reasons, we might want to throw doubt into what they're saying. So I would say first thing is, keep in mind that your kid is coming to you. So that's a win.
That's a win. That's huge.
Your kid is coming to you. And I would suggest starting out affirmative. Because even if it's going to be a long road and a long journey, but it's a lot more difficult to kind of walk back negativity than it is to start out affirmative and then work together.
When does a kid really start to think you know what? I'm hanging out with all the other boys, but I don't quite feel like a boy. Or when does that happen for a kid?
Now, here's the general answer to that, which is not what parents want to hear often.
Of course not. Yeah.
Early.
Yeah.
Sorry. So here's the thing. Queerness, whether it be anywhere on the LGBTQ spectrum, queerness, a sense of self, happens early. So it would be a lot easier to parent, perhaps, if someone could get to be 18, this arbitrary number, right?
Right. And they just press a button
on young people and go, okay, I'm 18 years old. Let's see. Do I like men? Do I like women? Or somewhere in between? Let me cognitively process this. And I think I'm going to go with this.
For me, I get confused sometimes. Look, someone tells me this is who I am, this is what I want to be called.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Right?
Yeah.
I get confused when there are conversations around gender, sexuality, gender at birth, pronouns. Like it's a lot in my head to keep straight. No,
Right.
no pun,
Uh-huh.
right? It's just it can like okay. Um, I watched Wicked the other night, and
Mm-hmm.
am I now bisexual?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, okay.
Okay. You're more bisexual than I am.
I didn't
You
watch it
watched Wicked.
alone though. I watched it with a allegedly straight woman,
Oh, you
but
watched it with your girlfriend? Okay,
I
that's
watched it with
different.
my girlfriend.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
now she wants to
that
do
would
stuff with a
be
magic wand.
okay. I would say that's inconclusive.
I'm sorry I derailed the
I'll
conversation.
get
All
back
right,
to you on that.
so back to seriousness. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When does when does a kid, a
Mm-hmm.
child, right? Anyone under 18, when do they show up in therapy talking about these issues? Or maybe like why do they show up in therapy as a child starting to talk about these issues?
It could be a number of things. I have young people showing up 14, 15, 16. I've had 12 years old that want
Wow.
to change their pronouns. Sometimes kids at very, very young ages start dressing in the opposite sex that society expects. It can come for a number of different ages. And what I've noticed is there's such a wide spectrum of responses from parents, and they all have different fears. And so I kind of started to look into what is best practice around this, because the reality is, even in the mental health sphere, we haven't agreed on it yet.
Wow.
And there are a lot of different ways you can get mediocre services
Sure.
based on is your therapist still an intern? Are they licensed? Is this their specialty? So we have an overall crisis on our hands with youth mental health, which is that a lot of therapists are not trained to do with the mental issues that the young person is presenting with. So here's the general layout. Therapists are generally equipped to deal with issues of depression, issues of anxiety, issues of trauma ish. However, certain levels of trauma need specializations like EMDR or brain spotting, which targets the trauma.
Wow.
We don't have to worry about that. Eating disorders are a more specialized field. But if you're a young intern,
Yeah.
someone comes to you with an eating disorder, you might start working with them. It happens because we don't have enough people in the field.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's like that's what's going on. We do not have enough specialties and information out there to have even a consensus
Yeah.
in mental health. So this
Well,
woman,
well,
go
that's not
ahead.
making me feel better, but
It shouldn't,
well, let
because
me
it's
ask you
a
this.
yeah.
Let me ask you this. So, let's say a 12-year-old girl,
Mm-hmm.
or what society would say is a girl. 12-year-old girl comes to you and says, "I don't think of myself as a girl."
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to her? Maybe I am very liberal. Maybe I am very supportive. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I do understand there's a broad spectrum
Mm-hmm.
of gender fluidity,
Mm-hmm.
but I really don't want my kid to hurt and suffer. So maybe I'm going to say to
Mm-hmm.
my 12-year-old, like, are you sure, honey? Are you
Right.
sure? Is this just, I mean, is
That's what a
this
lot of
some,
parents do.
right?
Are you
Okay.
just worried about something? Are you feeling left out? So here's what it comes down to. Is
Yeah.
there stress, anxiety, depression coming down to gender dysphoria or other aspects of adolescence? That's one of the major questions.
Mm,
Okay. And the answer is maybe, sometimes. So, how do we have gender affirming care that also keeps in mind that it's possible for young people that their primary challenge is not gender dysphoria? Maybe it's a part of it. Maybe it's
Yeah.
so again, we want to find the right help support a young person on the right journey, which is difficult, but at the same time, if we reject our kid and our initial response is resistance, that tends to push kids away. I'm not going to explain it as well as Laura Edwards Leeper, who I wanted to cite her experience
Okay.
and her research, but it's what it sounds like. Here's where we want to begin.
Yeah.
Is trans is real.
Hmm.
So I encourage people to embrace that. So what you have in all this hype are arguments that squeezes the humanity right out of it. In other
Right.
words,
Right.
and like we've talked about before, that argument was made toward gay people. This is not real, this is a choice. Two people having sex together with the same parts. It doesn't need to happen. And there are trans people. And to at least open your mind to the idea my kid might be trans and I have an opportunity to accept them, and that there's a whole journey ahead of us. And if we can find the right service providers, I have one chance to be affirmative.
Mm.
And then we can do this together. And here is what's important based on my experience as a therapist, and I work with teenagers. I always encourage parental involvement because that is where self esteem comes from, and that is where healing comes from, is from parents.
Mm.
And just as what, so there's a lot of propaganda about, and by the way, I'm not here just to defend therapy. There's a lot of bad therapy, there's a lot of mediocre therapy. That is reality.
Sure.
Okay. And I'm sorry to my colleagues, but it's true, and you know it's true.
So ironically, you're telling people before they go to therapy, do their research?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Fuck.
Research your therapist, people. Even if your therapist is not researching
Damn.
major purchases.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just all gone to hell now, isn't it?
Oh.
Did you just stress eat?
Mm.
Did you just stress eat right
No
there?
way.
What the hell was that? What did you just pull out of a
That is
bag?
2-week-old Danish.
Oh God, buddy. I'm sorry I pressed
I know
the button.
you don't know what's going on. There was a time pre-COVID that a therapist's office was all serenity and all healthy. Now I'm just responsible. I got
What is this bag? You've got like
Danish. Look at this.
do you,
Pretzel sticks.
do you offer that to like,
No, it's mine.
My parents didn't support me. Like, you
No.
want a Danish?
You know, you don't even see nice serenity. Can you see my hand right now?
No.
I could be hanging on to a generic tub of vodka.
Oh my God.
No, I'm literally.
Well, pull the vodka in. Let me say hello to my old friend.
I have this like thing on weekdays. I'm hungry from 11 to 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Like I can't. So I'm sitting there chowing in between sessions. So this is me. Okay. So anyway, just to sum up, balance and self-care. Okay. I'll see you next week.
Just like a squirrel in a park, just trying to get as much in your mouth as possible. Yeah. Are you ever, okay, be honest with me. Are you ever in a therapy session and the person is talking and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to have that pretzel.
Yeah.
Ooh,
here's look at my eyes. I'm staring. Doing a little visual mindful. Oh. Okay. Back.
What do you think about that, Dan? Yeah, you should do that. Yeah, yeah. Hey, our time, let's end a little short because it's great to end on a revelation.
Our time is a little pretzel. So we're gonna have to Danish it.
Well, this is what I always have on my desk.
There you
now.
go. We're humans. Okay, we're off track, Joe.
Yeah, we are. I apologize.
It's your fault.
I apologize. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to big hot button issue.
Yep.
Okay, where we were going.
Press it.
Confidentiality of clients from their parents.
That is a hot button issue. Because if I'm a parent, okay, go ahead. You talk.
As a therapist, my best practice is always to involve parents. Now, that does not mean violating the confidentiality of our sessions, right? So I don't talk to parents and say, well, they said this and they said this and they said this. Otherwise, therapy won't work. Okay. It doesn't, that's just not what we do. A lot of parents expect that because they're paying for it, or they just figure, I'm an adult, you're an adult. Here's what's from, so parents will lean in, here's what's the problem with this kid. Okay.
Right.
They don't understand they got to do their homework. So, and then they basically want me to tell them to do their homework. Well, that's not what I'm here for.
Right.
I'm not here to fix kids. I'm here to give kids a neutral, non-judgmental space to express themselves, figure out their goals, their strengths, their values, and move toward that. And help parents understand some fundamental kind of psychoeducation about the power struggle between themselves and their teens, and just based on research and education, see how they might apply that. So I'm never telling you how to parent. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Now, but fundamental, again, to wellness of kids is being able to let their parents in on some level. So a lot of what you hear is that, well, what's happening is young kids are saying they're trans and their therapists, like we're lawyers or something. Like, okay, first of all, don't say a word, right? Keep your mouth shut. Now you and me, we're going to transition together and we're going to exclude your parents. That is absolutely not what we do, not what we're supposed to do. Possibly what a misinformed therapist might do. That is possible. And again, that's why we do not have the standard of care we need in therapy in general. So what's needed is to find a really, really good therapist to help work with the whole family, keeping everybody's fears in mind while affirming the child. Now, probably a lot of these specialists have wait lists, right? Even don't take insurance, and you have people can't afford it.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's an absolute crisis on all levels of mental health.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, can we back up? Because
Yeah.
first of all, it sounds like what you're doing is, I mean, it's impressive and it's difficult. So thanks for doing it.
Hey.
And it sounds like you aren't just talking with it. You know, in my head, I just assume, all right, there's a kid coming in, you're having therapy, and every once in a while you're touching base with the parent. But what it really sounds like is while you're letting the kid express themselves, you're also helping the parent deal with their fear, anxiety, misplaced sense of protection. So you're educating the parent as much as you're giving the kid space.
And it varies based on the parent. So for instance, here is something that I also do I do some clinical supervision with unlicensed therapists, right? A lot of which might get trans clients. And so we're scrambling to get training.
Wow.
Because the reality of mental health is you're in the intake before you even know what's what. And therapists, there's such a need for therapy that a lot of times a therapist might feel like, well, I need to refer this client to a specialist, but there's nowhere to refer them. There's nowhere. Wow. There's issues of insurance. There's issues with this. So what you need is good supervision, diligent. And does that always happen? No, because there's good supervisors, there's mediocre. I try to do the best I can, but there are expensive trainings that I'm about to take. But it's not like you have to take the training before you can be a therapist.
Wow.
Really? It's all just happening.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
I'm sorry. Yes. So you might hear on Fox News, don't go to a therapist, this and that, propaganda about therapy. I would say, I certainly don't agree with that, but I do agree. Like with everything, do your research, talk to a therapist, regardless of what your kid is going through, about their experience, and present your fears and see if you're comfortable, see if your child is comfortable, and hopefully the whole family system can move forward. So what Laura Edwards Leeper is one of the top trans affirming therapists in Portland, right? She swears by the comprehensive assessment that factors in how long has the gender dysphoria existed, all these different social emotional factors. The best we can do to find a path that is affirming without necessarily just saying, okay, it's whatever a 13-year-old wants. If a 13-year-old tells you if they come home with hormone blockers, have them take them. And to my way of thinking at this point, to my level of education, that seems like a path forward.
Yeah.
And so you might ask, where is this assessment? It's for therapists that want to be really, really thorough and research it.
Yeah.
But we presently we don't necessarily have the resources and the access to it. And so
Wow. So wait. You're saying that in America,
mhm,
United States of America, the therapists working here, there is no specific assessment that helps you figure out if someone is a good candidate for gender.
there will be
Once again, the Dutch are beating us.
the Dutch have it more streamlined.
Fucking Dutch.
The Dutch, man.
Goddamn wooden shoe
So
assholes.
you're more likely to find that in a specialty clinic. So Kaiser has the Gender Pathways Clinic. My suggestion is specializations where everyone can be free to express themselves. But it doesn't necessarily begin there. It begins with some therapist.
Right.
And then we want our therapists to at least be just to get a basic education of best practice. And again, there's still not even necessarily that much of a consensus because training is not mandated.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. So
Oh.
it's not where it should be.
What is though? I mean, at least you're making an effort.
So recently, new disclosures have gone out to all parents in Oregon stating that I'm kind of paraphrasing, but stating that therapists should make their best effort to include parents in therapy. So that's kind of new, clearly politically influenced, probably due to the trans issue. And I would agree as a therapist, it should be like that. You should be making every effort. Now, that doesn't mean the minute a child comes out to a therapist is on the phone with their parent saying, yeah, are you aware that they want to experiment with their pronouns?
Yeah.
It means guiding therapy towards inclusion, including the family, because again, the problem with being closeted is leading a double life. You want part of mental health is to lead one life.
Good. Yeah.
So if you're the path should lead to the parents, but it also says inclusion with the parents unless it could be harmful. So if you're absolutely about to reject your kid and put them out on the street, there it does get to be the therapist's discretion. And I would say it should be. I mean, it's just, again, therapy works because it's a non-judgmental place. You can say something and we don't report to your parents. But good therapy should be moving toward the parents.
Oh, okay. So in summation, to bring us all home.
So in other words, I shouldn't, anyone on the LGBTQ spectrum you get to come out to your parents. I don't come out to your parents.
Right.
But we should together be working toward that.
Right.
Ideally.
No, that makes sense. That makes total sense. So in summation, we do not have enough therapists. We do not have enough therapists that specialize.
Right.
It should always involve the parents because that it just should.
Ideally.
And trans is a real thing, whether you like it or not. And if your kid comes to you and says, hey, I want to experiment with pronouns, it is always best to affirm them and be positive rather than reject them.
Affirm them. and then find good services if you can. And if you find good services, there's going to be room
Sure.
for you to manage your anxiety. But it might also mean you get therapy. It might also it's a lot of work.
Are there stages, do you think, of people, starting to experiment? Like, hey, I want to experiment with my pronouns, and then one
Yeah,
day you're plugging
absolutely.
your electric car into the library.
Mm-hmm. It's a whole spectrum
There's
between pronouns, fingernails, trying on a different top, um, trying on a lighter voice, a deeper voice, and a Nissan Leaf. Whole spectrum.
I mean, look, we're laughing. I'm making jokes, but oh well,
We
when
got
that's
we got to make jokes because I'll tell you, we one thing, if we could get away from the extremes, then we can have room to make mistakes because we have to ask stupid questions and we have to make mistakes.
what do you say?
And
Okay, so we should try to
yeah.
wrap this up, but what do you say? Because you know, as much as the hard right wing drives me crazy with
Mm-hmm.
their trans is bad, that is
Mm-hmm.
wrong, I don't believe in it, as much as that drives me crazy, there is the other spectrum
Mm-hmm.
of don't make jokes about it, don't don't say anything funny about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, look, you guys, I believe I'm liberal. I'm probably
Mm-hmm.
left of Jesus in terms of what I
Mm-hmm.
believe.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have to be okay with being
Mm-hmm.
included. And if it's a joke that's not punching down, you got to be okay
Yeah,
with that. I mean, and I'm
I
as
would
I'm
say
saying it,
comedy is always okay if you're not punching down. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
okay,
I and here's my experience with trans people is they have a sense of humor and they're cool.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if you are, I'll go back to one of my favorite moments. I was joking around on stage. I referred to a trans comedian as he just in the moment. They came up to me after and said, by the way, I'm not a he. And I didn't feel attacked. And I felt like that is important to them.
yeah, absolutely,
And
yeah.
this wasn't like, excuse me. I find that most people are cool. Yeah,
I think I think the danger is on wherever you are in the political, social spectrum. The
hmm
danger is if you suddenly decide you can't make jokes about something,
hmm
then you're setting yourself up.
and there's a difference between sort of being racist or sexist or homophobic on stage and displaying your ignorance.
And I think
You know
that's
what I
okay.
mean? That's
I love
different.
that.
Like
I love,
hey,
yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah,
get it.
yeah. I love
I'm
it.
an,
I
I
look,
just said something stupid because I am
yeah,
stupid. But
I'm
we
a
all can you can all relate to my stupidity.
I'm a 56-year-old
Yeah.
straight white male, and I also will tell you there are times like the change is coming so quick
hmm
and so fast that
hmm
yeah, I will get stuck and like,
hmm
okay, I'm sorry, that's your pronoun. I get it.
Right.
Truly I get it. I was in a cafe about a week ago, San
hmm
Francisco, right? I mean, it's still very cafe culture.
hmm
And there was a woman sitting at a table and a guy walked by and it happened like that. He
hmm
jumped in, grabbed a purse, and ran. Yeah, I mean it happens.
Joe
That's
Klosick.
it's
Never
not
seen
the
it.
I've never I mean I've seen that happen before. I've seen that. Yeah, I mean especially like in the last few years, like people will grab a laptop. People will whatever.
No
But
kidding.
oh yeah, yeah. No, it's not. Here's the thing though, right? So it happened so fast, and I think for a second we are all like, did that just happen? And the cafe workers called the cops, and the cops get there, and the cops ask the woman, like, okay, can you describe the person who stole your purse?
hmm
And they start with, was it a man or a woman? And
Uh-huh.
the woman was literally like, I don't see gender. And yeah, and
Okay.
so we all looked at each other like, this is not
Right. We're
HR.
just trying to
Trying
pinpoint.
to find your
Right.
purse.
It's hard to be progressive.
But it was like it was progressive on a level where like you're not getting your purse back.
Yeah, I don't see gender. Okay, you're also not going to see your purse.
You're not. I'm putting out an
You don't
APB.
see gender. You don't see purses.
Yeah, yeah, but it just and they were like, you could tell that the cops were a little miffed, right? And so then she's just like I'm sorry, but I don't understand why that's important. And they're like, okay, well, were they tall? Were they short? Can you tell us what nationality? And she was like, I'm sorry, but I think these are inappropriate questions. And we're all just kind of looking at it at a certain point, like, what kind of an APB do you expect them to put out? Be on the lookout for everyone, because they might have a purse. And it's like, it was such, it felt like an SNL sketch.
Excuse me, Joe, I got to interrupt you. I don't see everyone. I'm uncomfortable with this.
Good for you.
Who is everyone?
Who is everyone?
Exactly.
Yeah. Who?
Okay, I gotta trying to be progressive, but having a hard time story for you.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay, true story. This was like a year ago. By the way, I'm at that point in my age, everything's a year ago. I don't know when it was.
I'm at the same age.
This was like
about a year ago.
It was probably 2019.
Yeah, it was either a year ago or last week.
Yeah,
that's how
So I'm in this building. So I'm locking up. I lock up. You got to put the alarm on, and go out the side door that has a little alleyway, right, where a houseless person might be hanging out. I open the door. Guy's in his underwear, right, and our eyes meet, and he goes like this. I'm changing. Like, what are you doing? I'm changing.
You walked in on me.
True. And I go, sorry. Close the door, and I waited to leave. Sometimes you do things just for the bit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to play this out.
I'm going to play this out. We're going to do this. We're in a sketch right now. Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
And I couldn't go home. I'm like, hon, 20 minutes. I can't leave.
He's not done changing.
And here's the beauty. On his way out, knocks on the window. I'm done. Like, okay, I can leave now.
Yeah. You know what? That's the right thing to do.
So it's like there's more people outside than inside now. We're interrupting. We're in their living room.
Anyway, Joe, so I think we fixed everything. We solved everything.
It's funny. All this trans, how do we do it? And we solved it in 20 minutes.
Solved it right there.
Okay,
that easy.
Listen to me. Email us.
Oh my God.
Do we have an email?
We probably should set that up. I think we have an email. You know what? They can contact us. Right by now, they probably do. Oh,
I want to hear what you think.
Please hit that subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button. Let us know what you think. Yeah. We're doing our best. We're splaining for you.
Yeah.
If you have kids.
There's a comment section. There's a comment section.
You have young people, you have questions.
Yeah.
Hit us up, and we're moving the dialogue forward, ladies and gentlemen. So
we'll
see you next week. All right. Bye, everyone.